The Netherlands Antilles, Papiamentu, Antia Hulandes, also referred to informally as the Dutch Antilles, was an autonomous Caribbean country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Although the country has now been dissolved, all of its constituent islands remain part of the kingdom under a different legal status, and the term is still used to refer to these Dutch Caribbean islands. The Netherlands Antilles consisted of two distinct island groups. The ABC Islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao are located in the southern Caribbean Sea, just off the Venezuelan coast. The SSS Islands of Sint Maarten, Saba, and Sint Eustatius are in the Leeward Islands southeast of the Virgin Islands near the northern end of the Lesser Antilles, approximately 900 kilometers northeast of the ABC Islands. The Dutch colonized the various islands in the 17th century and united them in the new constituent state of the Netherlands Antilles in 1954. Aruba became a separate state within the Kingdom of the Netherlands in 1986. The Kingdom of the Netherlands dissolved the Netherlands Antilles on October 10, 2010, reconstituting Curaçao and Sint Maarten as new constituent countries and Bonaire, Sint Eustatius, and Saba as special municipalities within the Netherlands. History. Spanish-sponsored explorers discovered both the Leeward and Windward Island groups, but Spain founded settlements only in the Leeward Islands. In the 17th century, the islands were conquered by the Dutch West India Company and were used as military outposts and trade bases. From the last quarter of the 17th century, the group consisted of 6 undisputedly Dutch islands: Curaçao, Aruba, Bonaire, Sint Eustatius, Saba and Sint Maarten. Before Anguilla, the present-day British Virgin Islands, St. Croix and Tobago had also been Dutch. In the second half of the 18th century, Sint Eustatius became the commercial hub of the northeastern Caribbean, earning the nickname the Golden Rock. This invoked the envy of the French and English, who from 1795 made sure the island lost their position by occupying the island and ruining the French through their taxes and the English by closing the island off and diverting all trade to their own islands. From 1815 onwards, Curaçao and dependencies formed a colony of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Slavery was abolished in 1863, and in 1865 a government regulation for Curaçao was enacted that allowed for some very limited autonomy for the colony. Though this regulation was replaced by a constitution in 1936, the changes to the government structure remained superficial, and Curaçao continued to be ruled as a colony. The island of Curaçao was hit hard by the abolition of slavery in 1863. Its prosperity was restored in the early 20th century with the construction of oil refineries to service the newly discovered Venezuelan oil fields. Colonial rule ended after the conclusion of the Second World War. Queen Wilhelmina had promised in a 1942 speech to offer autonomy to the overseas territories of the Netherlands, and British and American occupation with consent by the Dutch government of the islands during the war led to increasing demands for autonomy within the population as well. In May 1948, a new constitution for the territory entered into force, allowing the largest amount of autonomy allowed under the Dutch Constitution of 1922. Among others, universal suffrage was introduced. The territory was renamed Netherlands Antilles as well. After the Dutch constitution was revised in 1948, a new interim constitution of the Netherlands Antilles was enacted in February 1951. Shortly thereafter, on March 3, 1951, the island regulation of the Netherlands Antilles was issued by royal decree, giving fairly large autonomy to the various island territories in the Netherlands Antilles. A consolidated version of this regulation remained in force until the dissolution of the Netherlands Antilles in 2010. The new constitution was only deemed an interim arrangement, as negotiations for a charter for the kingdom were already underway. On December 15, 1954, the Netherlands Antilles, Suriname, and the Netherlands acceded as equal partners to an overarching Kingdom of the Netherlands as established in the Charter for the Kingdom of the Netherlands. With this move, the United Nations deemed decolonization of the territory complete and removed it from the United Nations list of non-self-governing territories. Aruba seceded from the Netherlands Antilles on January 1, 1986, paving the way for a series of referendums among the remaining islands on the future of the Netherlands Antilles. Whereas the ruling parties campaigned for the dissolution of the Netherlands Antilles, the people voted for a restructuring of the Netherlands Antilles. The coalition campaigning for this option became the Party for the Restructured Antilles, which ruled the Netherlands Antilles for much of the time until its dissolution on October 10, 2010. Dissolution. Even though the referendums held in the early 1990s resulted in a position in favor of retaining the Netherlands Antilles, the arrangement continued to be an unhappy one. Between June 2000 and April 2005, each island of the Netherlands Antilles had a new referendum on its future status. The four options that could be voted on were the following: closer ties with the Netherlands, remaining within the Netherlands Antilles, autonomy as a country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, independence. Of the five islands, Sint Maarten and Curaçao voted for status apart, Saba and Bonaire voted for closer ties to the Netherlands, and Sint Eustatius voted to stay within the Netherlands Antilles. On November 26, 2005, a round-table conference was held between the governments of the Netherlands, Aruba, the Netherlands Antilles, and each island in the Netherlands Antilles. The final statement to emerge from the RTC stated that autonomy for Curaçao and Sint Maarten, plus a new status for Bonaire, Sint Eustatius, and Saba would come into effect by July 1, 2007. On October 12, 2006, the Netherlands reached an agreement with Bonaire, Sint Eustatius, and Saba. This agreement would make these islands special municipalities. On November 3, 2006, Curaçao and Sint Maarten were granted autonomy in an agreement, but this agreement was rejected by the then Island Council of Curaçao on November 28. The Curaçao government was not sufficiently convinced that the agreement would provide enough autonomy for Curaçao. On July 9, 2007, the new Island Council of Curaçao approved the agreement previously rejected in November 2006. A subsequent referendum approved the agreement as well. The Acts of Parliament integrating the BES Islands into the Netherlands were given royal assent on May 17, 2010. After ratification by the Netherlands Antilles, and Aruba, the Kingdom Act amending the Charter for the Kingdom of the Netherlands with regard to the dissolution of the Netherlands Antilles was signed off by the three countries in the closing roundtable conference on September 9, 2010 in The Hague. Constitution. The Constitution of the Netherlands Antilles was proclaimed on March 29, 1955 by order in Council for the Kingdom. Together with the Island Regulation of the Netherlands Antilles, it formed the constitutional basis for the Netherlands Antilles. The fact that the Constitution depended on the Island Regulation, and the fact that the Island Regulation gave fairly large autonomy to the different island territories, and the fact that the Island Regulation was older than the Constitution, has led many scholars to describe the Netherlands Antilles as a federal arrangement. The head of state was the ruling monarch of the Netherlands, who was represented in the Netherlands Antilles by a governor. The governor and the Council of Ministers, chaired by a prime minister, formed the government. The Netherlands Antilles had a unicameral legislature called the Estates of the Netherlands Antilles. Its 22 members were fixed in number for the islands making up the Netherlands Antilles, 14 for Curaçao, 3 each for Sint Maarten and Bonaire, and 1 each for Saba and Sint Eustatius. The Netherlands Antilles were not part of the European Union, but instead listed as overseas countries and territories. This status was kept for all the islands after dissolution, and will be kept until at least 2015. Island territories. The Island Regulation originally divided the Netherlands Antilles into 4 island territories: Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, and the Windward Islands. In 1983, the island territory of the Windward Islands was split up to form the new island territories of Sint Maarten, Saba, and Sint Eustatius. In 1986, Aruba seceded from the Netherlands Antilles, reducing the number of island territories to 5. After the dissolution of the Netherlands Antilles in 2010, Curaçao and Sint Maarten became autonomous countries within the kingdom, and Bonaire, Sint Eustatius and Saba became special municipalities of the Netherlands. Geography. The 2 island groups of which the Netherlands Antilles consisted were The Leeward Islands, part of the Leeward Antilles island chain off the Venezuelan coast. Aruba, Bonaire, including an islet called Klein Bonaire, Curaçao Section O, including an islet called Klein Curaçao Section O. The Windward Islands east of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. These are part of what are in English called the Leeward Islands, but French, Spanish, Dutch and the English spoken locally these are considered part of the Windward Islands. Sint Maarten, the southern half of the island Sint Maarten. Saba, Sint Eustatius. The Windward Islands are all of volcanic origin and hilly, leaving little ground suitable for agriculture. The Leeward Islands have a mixed volcanic and coral origin. The highest point was Mount Scenery, 887 meters, on Saba. Climate. The Netherlands Antilles had a tropical climate, with warm weather all year round. The Windward Islands are subject to hurricanes in the summer months, while the Leeward Islands are warmer and drier. Economy. Tourism, petroleum transshipment and oil refinement, as well as offshore finance were the mainstays of this small economy, which was closely tied to the outside world. The islands enjoyed a high per capita income and a well-developed infrastructure as compared with other countries in the region. Almost all consumer and capital goods were imported, with Venezuela, the United States, and Mexico being the major suppliers, as well as the Dutch government which supports the islands with substantial development aid. Poor soils and inadequate water supplies hampered the development of agriculture. The Antillean guilder had a fixed exchange rate with the United States dollar of 1.791. Demographics. A large percentage of the Netherlands Antillians descended from European colonists and African slaves who were brought and traded here from the 17th to 19th centuries. The rest of the population originated from other Caribbean islands as well as Latin America, East Asia and elsewhere in the world. In Curaçao Section O there was a strong Jewish element going back to the 17th century. The language Papiamentu was predominant on Curaçao Section O and Bonaire. This Creole descended from Portuguese and West African languages with a strong admixture of Dutch, plus subsequent lexical contributions from Spanish and English. An English-based Creole dialect, formerly known as Netherlands Antilles Creole, was the native dialect of the inhabitants of Sint Eustatius, Saba and Sint Maarten. After a decades-long debate, English and Papiamentu were made official languages alongside Dutch in early March 2007. Legislation was produced in Dutch but parliamentary debate was in Papiamentu or English, depending on the island. Due to a massive influx of immigrants from Spanish-speaking territories such as the Dominican Republic in the Windward Islands, and increased tourism from Venezuela in the Leeward Islands, Spanish had also become increasingly used. The majority of the population were followers of the Christian faith, with a Protestant majority in Sint Eustatius and Sint Maarten, and a Roman Catholic majority in Bonaire, Curaçao Section O and Saba. Curaçao Section O also hosted a sizable group of followers of the Jewish faith, descendants of a Portuguese group of Sephardic Jews that arrived from Amsterdam and Brazil from 1654. Most Netherlands Antillians were Dutch citizens and this status permitted and encouraged the young and university-educated to emigrate to the Netherlands. This exodus was considered to be to the island's detriment, as it created a brain drain. On the other hand, immigrants from the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the Anglophone Caribbean and Colombia had increased their presence on these islands in later years. Culture. The origins of the population and location of the islands gave the Netherlands Antilles a mixed culture. Tourism and overwhelming media presence from the United States increased the regional United States influence. On all the islands, the holiday of Carnival had become an important event after its importation from other Caribbean and Latin American countries in the 1960s. Festivities included jump-up parades with beautifully colored costumes, floats, and live bands as well as beauty contests and other competitions. Carnival on the islands also included a middle-of-the-night jovet parade that ended at sunrise with the burning of a straw king momo, cleansing the island of sins and bad luck. Sports. Netherlands Lesser Antilles competed in the Winter Olympics of 1988, notably finishing 29th in the bobsled, ahead of Jamaica who famously competed but finished 30th. Baseball is by far the most popular sport. Several players have made it to the major leagues, such as Air Bogaerts, Xander Jan Bogaerts, Hensley Mullins, Randall Simon, Andrew Jones, Ed Jurgens, Roger Benedina, Sidney Ponson, Didier Gregorius, Sharon Martis, Vladimir Belentian, and Urindel de Castro. Xander Bogaerts competed in the 2013 World Series for the Boston Red Sox against the St. Louis Cardinals. Andrew Jones played for the Atlanta Braves in the 1996 World Series, hitting 2 home runs in the first game against the New York Yankees. 3 athletes from the former Netherlands Antilles competed in the 2012 Summer Olympics. They, alongside 1 athlete from South Sudan, competed under the banner of Independent Olympic Athletes. Miscellaneous topics. Unlike the metropolitan Netherlands, same-sex marriages were not performed in the Netherlands Antilles, but those performed in other jurisdictions were recognized. The main prison of the Netherlands Antilles was Coral Spect, later known as Bon Futuro. It was known for ill treatment of prisoners and bad conditions throughout the years. The late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez claimed that the Netherlands was helping the United States to invade Venezuela due to military games in 2006. Curaçao Section O is under consideration as a cooperative security location, not a full main operating base. See also, American West Indies, British West Indies, Danish West Indies, French West Indies, Spanish West Indies, Index of Netherlands Antilles related articles. Notes. References, Bormann, C. Het stated voor het Koninkrijk, Deventer, Kluwer. Oostindie, G. en Klinkers, I het Koninkrijk in Kara ben, een korte geschiedenis van het Nederlands decolonisatiebeeleid 1940 2000. Amsterdam, Amsterdam University Press. External links, Government, Governor Main governmental site, Antillenese Cabinet of the Netherlands Antilles Plenipotentiary Minister in the Netherlands, Central Bank of the Netherlands Antilles, General Information, Netherlands Antilles Entry at the World Factbook, Netherlands Antilles from UCB Libraries GovPubs, Netherlands Antilles at DMOZ, Wikimedia Atlas of Netherlands Antilles, History, English, Method of securing the ports and populations of all the coasts of the Indies from 1694. The last 5 pages of the book are about life, economy and culture of the Netherlands Antilles.